All right, this week we are here with Patrick Manning. Patrick is the founder, the creator of Alio. Alio is a protein bar that is nut-free, allergy-free. I don't know what else goes on the list of free, but I'm sure you're going to let us know. When you had reached out to me with Alio, instinctively, I don't know many people that are allergy and nut-free, but my niece, Lily, is nut-free, and I know her parents, my brother and sister-in-law, are very adamant about making sure there's no peanuts in the house, no sesame in the house, nothing. So when I had posted this on my IG, I got pinged. I knew she was going to ping me, but then I had other people. I was getting Facebook messages. I didn't even know that I could post on Facebook, but I guess all my Instagram posts go directly to Facebook, and I'm getting Facebook messages about people asking me, like, first off, how good is it? So you tell me, Patrick, where are you guys at right now? What are you working on? Tell me about Alio.
Yeah, so Alio's, like Steve said, an allergy-friendly protein bar company, free from the top 9 allergens, and that covers everything that's, from nuts to dairy to seeds, so sesame seeds, soy, shellfish, seafood, and then wheat is also one of them. So yeah, that hits.
That's 8. We got a 9.
Peanuts, tree nuts. So
peanuts, tree nuts.
Said nuts as 1. But yeah, so there's like 32 million Americans that have a food allergy that they would react to, and 85 million Americans that just have some kind of intolerance or something. Like they like to stay away from certain foods. So a lot of your followers probably, if they might not have an allergy, stay away from those foods. And we kind of went down that road because my brother's got a peanut allergy, and I myself like to stay away from certain foods. So and it's a huge need. And there's really nothing else out there that is free from the top 9 that's also high in protein like we are.
Amazing. What was the first flavor that you guys came up with? That's like the first thing I want to know. First flavor you came up with, and what was like the base behind it?
So we actually had the brownie and the mint were the first 2 that we came up with. And then we ran with that for a little bit, actually under another name. So this Alio is our second name. And then we came out with cookie dough because everyone wanted a flavor that wasn't as chocolatey, and that was a little bit different.
Cojito?
Cookie dough.
Oh, cookie dough. I thought cojito. So you know what cojito is, right?
No, I do not.
Cojito. It's like a Puerto Rican drink, right? It's like a Puerto Rican drink during the holiday season, so it's kind of like cinnamony.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought.
Could be a good option because everyone's like, oh, do you have something that doesn't have chocolate altogether? Because we have chocolate chips in that. And I'm like, not yet, but maybe.
There we go. So some sort of cinnamon flavor, whether it's straight up cinnamon, snickerdoodle.
Snickerdoodle's a really popular choice.
There's something we should look into, or you should look into in the future.
More flavors is definitely going to come out down the line.
The predominant amount of responses that I got from it were for parents finding a product for their kids. Would you say that's a large part of your target market, or because it's a protein bar, you're more going for millennials or Gen Zs?
So it does seem like, when we started it was someone who was kind of like on the go and maybe a little bit, kind of the millennial or Gen Z, but now it does seem like a lot of parents, especially moms, looking for their kids, like for a safe snack for school or something like that to throw in the backpack that they can, be confident that their kids can eat without having any concern. And this fits the bill perfectly. So we have a lot of moms who are our customers.
That's a great target market. I have to make lunch for my kid every day for daycare. He's 18 months, and every day we have to make lunch for him. So even to take like a Alio bar and being able to break up a few little pieces to put in there every day would be fantastic.
That is, yeah. So these bars are a little bit bigger, but they could be broken up and can be used, and I think they taste great, so everyone likes them.
They do taste great. How did it all start?
So
let's go back literally. What were you doing before you created Alio? When did the idea come to you? Do you remember the night or the day it happened?
It kind of seems like all a blur looking back on it now, and it's kind of funny that it does, but this whole idea kind of came to me right in 2020, actually. So I was in college and actually on the road to medical school. So I was ready I have a degree in biopsychology. I was ready to take the MCATs, and obviously 2020 was when, COVID hit. That was my senior spring. So we all got sent home in March of 2020, and I didn't know what was going to happen. So throughout my entire, college career, I would eat a bunch of protein bars, always on the go. Never had time to really make a meal because
Did you have a bar of choice?
I liked the no-cal bars originally. I thought they were good. Aloha's very good. I like to stay towards that cleaner kind of vegan bar, and those two options were what I was kind of using. But the taste kind of started to get a little bit poor after, I think, these companies get a little bit bigger. They seem to cut back on different things, and taste seems to be one of them. And then my brother, like I mentioned, he's got a peanut allergy, and he couldn't eat any of those bars. Every other bar seems to have a base of peanuts or tree nuts or one of those issues. And yeah, so that's kind of what got me really thinking. So we got sent home, didn't end up, doing my MCATs because everything got canceled. Was like, is this really what I want to do? You take that step back and then you really think well, where do I see myself in, 10 years? Like I would be just graduating medical school. I would be then doing my residency and doing all that. Or I can maybe go down the road and try to build this protein bar that no one's ever done before that, in 10 years I could look back and I'd be in the same spot, but I could potentially have an awesome company impacting millions of individuals. So with all the free time we had, we decided to go to the kitchen in like a food processor and just start throwing ingredients together. And that was when we, came up with our brownie and then our mint formula. And we probably have, there's pages and pages of different formulas, like hundreds of different formulas that we have used.
So are you Googling, are you YouTubing? Where are you finding your first formulas? And what are you looking up to even find these formulas?
A lot of it was just Googling, looking at, everything's like on the back of the box of the other protein bars, seeing what these bars had, taking out what we can't use, trying to find an alternative that's healthy and safe, putting it all together, and then just tweaking the grams and the amounts, every single time to see how it came out and taste-wise.
Now, are you able to manage, or not are you? How are you able to manage when making a whole batch that every bar has an equal amount of ingredients?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we went for that food processor. We then found a facility that was allergy friendly, and then they can take it to the scale that we need to do to give it to the customers. And from there, you just scale up the batch sheets, and those are all in grams, and they scale pretty easily. And everything, everything works out pretty well. You do see small little tweaks need to be changed when you go from a small 10-pound batch to a 500-pound batch, but everything kind of scales pretty well.
Now, is it super expensive or maybe even just a little more expensive being able to manufacture in a allergy-free facility? Because I imagine that it's not a matter of producing it somewhere where, let me rewind. To be able to do it where they're not producing any of those 9 allergens that you mentioned, that's really hard. Because even though someone who's producing shellfish might not have anything to do with peanuts, to find a production house that is doing neither, that's only focusing on allergy-free, I would be shocked if more than 2 or 3 of them even exist.
Yeah, so trying to find one took months and months and months of just, researching, reaching out to other companies that are allergy-friendly and being like, hey, who do you use? And very little respond, if any. And we actually...
Why?
No one likes to give away their secrets of who they're using, because you could take space away from them and they can't produce as much. A lot of the companies...
They're not wrong.
No, it is true. And, I wouldn't give away too much information as well, but I was trying for it. So a lot of these companies actually manufacture for themselves just because, like you said, it's so hard to find a facility. We actually had a place in the West Coast that we were ready to go with right when I was starting, probably 2021 towards the end.
Like part of a ghost kitchen?
I'm sorry.
Would it be like part of a ghost kitchen, or what was the facility?
So they were a full big facility. I was free from, I think at that point, the top 14 allergens. So there was a few more. And they had everything. They looked really great on paper. We then, reach out to them. I'm like, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm going to do a test run with you to make sure my small kitchen run can scale to a couple 100 pounds. All right, cool. Send me the money. Send them the money. 2 weeks later, they say, hey, we're going out of business. Because I asked them, I'm like, hey, where should I mail the ingredients to you? They're like, oh, yeah, sorry. We're going out of business. Just stick with us. We'll try to turn it around. I'm like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. So never got the full money back from them. But
how much money was it?
It was only $3,000.
Oh, okay.
At the time, it was, the end of the world, but it wasn't a ton. But we got a third back.
Right, but it's not a matter of it wasn't the end of the world at the moment because of the money. It's because you had literally tried to navigate where to find these people. You found them, and now you're back to square one. And that must have been so defeating.
It was terrible. I mean, it took months to find them. And then, 2 weeks after you pay them, they say that they're going out of business. You're like, end
And it
of the
was
world.
2 months later?
I'm sorry, 2 weeks later.
Okay.
It was kind of a close time,
Yeah.
but still, it was like the end of the world. And that really, put us back and really, took the wind out of my sails. And I was like, is this even like going to happen? Like I had no idea. And we didn't even we've never made the bar at a kitchen. Like we've never done anything with it. So we were still super early on. Luckily enough, I think it took us like another 3 or 4 months, found another place that was willing to work with us. And then we've been with them since, and they've been good. But yeah, there's a lot of, regulations and restrictions and stuff, and the cost is a little bit more. But, it's what you have to do to make an allergy-friendly product.
So where are you producing now? In New York, New Jersey?
I have a facility in Vermont that we're working with.
Amazing. And how often are you able to go up there to actually see the facility? And I guess to piggyback on that, had you gone to the facility in California?
In California, yeah.
Had you been there before you sent them the money?
No, never been. Just had a quick phone call, and then she really started to get aggressive. I was like, hey, like, you got to pay me now. Like, this has got to happen. And I'm like, whoa, I just asked, like, some small questions. Like, I needed to figure some stuff out. So
the writing was kind of on the wall,
there
I
was a red
guess.
flag. Like, you learn so much as you go through it, and you're drinking out of, like, a fire hose. But now looking back, I'm like, all right, I should have known that there was something kind of going on there, but you live and you
Totally.
learn.
Listen, always where there's smoke, there's fire. And from that, you learned. And now you know more so even going with your gut
Super
is
important.
super important. So how'd you find the facility in Vermont?
So the facility in Vermont, I was down and out. I had no idea what to do. It just started reaching out.
And what's the time frame between when you found out this place is closing to now going and finding your facility in Vermont?
So the place probably closed like October 2021. And then, we probably didn't find the place in Vermont until, either end of 2021 or beginning of 2022. And then from there, we kind of jumped right in and started producing because we were ready to go. We just needed a place. So we found this place luckily through a chocolate company in Canada, actually. Just randomly reached out to the guy who was the founder of the company. Was like, hey, you have an allergy-friendly product. I'm trying to do the same thing, but in protein bars. Who do you, manufacture with? Or like, do you do it yourself? Or what the deal is? I need some help. So luckily enough, he was like, hey, this company in Vermont, they're really good. They don't even work with them, I don't think, but he just knew of them, recommended me, reached out to them, and, it's worked out ever since.
It's interesting that the Canadian was super helpful
He
right
was
off the
super
bat.
helpful.
Meanwhile, all these Americans were just trying to shield you from using their vendors.
Yeah, they didn't want to give too much up. And then I've actually tried to reach back out to him and have not been able to get in contact with him. It's kind of like one of those where you just...
Did he even exist?
I know, and there's actually a few different moments in this, business where it's like, okay, you gave me such good information, and now I can't, repay you. Like, I don't even know how to say thank you because you just won't respond. So it's pretty crazy.
That's amazing. So when you did find the facility in Vermont through this chocolatier, did you go and check it out before moving forward?
So we didn't have to pay them up front, which was nice. We did go that time to, when we were producing. So I was in the facility kind of checking it out. We did a very small run just to see, and everything was good. Everything checked out, and it worked really well.
All right. So what I get going through my head is, how are you funding this? Are you currently working another job? Had you saved up from your job previous? What are you doing? Is this your number one, or are you doing it as a side hustle?
So right now, this is my number one. And
well, now, when you started, when you started up until now.
So when we started, I was doing some small jobs on the side, just trying to, kind of fund it. It's all self-funded. We have no other founders. It's just myself. And so we've just been trying to really bootstrap and be super strategic about how we're, getting the bars out there, how we're producing and everything like that, and just trying to be super lean with it. We're going to hopefully raise money this year, but up until now, it's just been myself and working small jobs here and there, keep it going.
So you're talking about raising money. What would you do with all the money? All the money. What would you do with money that you would raise? And also, how much money are you looking to raise?
Right. So we are definitely, I said try, but we are definitely going to raise money this year. We need it to, continue. We're going to raise hopefully a little over $1 million, and it's going to go into a lot of marketing, advertising, even manufacturing, trying to drop our cost of goods and stuff, because, we're right now we're only buying like the minimum orders of everything. So being able to increase that volume will really help with profit margins and everything. Also, trying to just expand into different retail costs need a lot of capital for that with like buybacks and retail dollars and stuff like that. So really would be able to take it, to the next level. And I think, what I've been doing up until this point is just getting that proof of concept to see like, all right, we have a great formula. Everyone loves the flavor and taste. It really works. And now it's like, all right, let's take it to that next level.
It's amazing. I'm like thinking right now of a couple people in the CPG world who I'm gonna connect you with after the show.
That'd be awesome.
Who have been uber successful with, I'm not gonna say similar products like protein bar, but CPG products that were small and are now gargantuan.
No, that'd be awesome. The help and those connections are great, and just the experience. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing up until I do it. So to get some experience from someone who's been there and done that would be great.
And what sort of events are you trying to get into this year? Because right now we're in the beginning of 2024. Do you have like a calendar of goals of where you want to be throughout the year?
Yeah, so we're doing a couple small events in the upcoming month of February. We're doing some Orange Theories and then at a couple sports complexes and some gyms in the local area. And then we have a gluten-free expo that we're doing actually at Hofstra University in May. So that's on schedule. The gluten-free expo is also going to be in Philly in I think in September. So we're going to try to hit that as well. I know, I'm pretty sure it's Fancy Foods at the Javits Center. It's a huge one, which would be awesome to just like walk the floor of it. I don't know if we're ready to get a booth there, but just to be in that with all of those huge players and those amazing food brands would be awesome. So yeah, we have a decent amount on schedule and hopefully to keep expanding it.
And what about in the world of fitness? Other than Orange Theory, I'm thinking like fitness expos.
Haven't thought of too many fitness expos. When we were doing when we were working under the other name, we had the I think it was
Other
LA
name?
Fitness. Yes, that's an interesting part of this story too that we were jumping around a little bit, but we'll go back to that.
Okay.
So LA Fitness, that whole one out there, that huge fitness expo, they've reached out and said that they would love to have us at their events. So that'd be really cool, but that's we would need to raise money for that to make that happen. So that's like part of the where does the funds going to? Getting to all those expos that are just across the country. There's a huge one also in Anaheim. That's like the pinnacle of CPG, which would be awesome to go to. But that's
What's it called?
Expo West.
Yep.
Is massive, and that would be cool to go to. That's in March.
And Expo East is in Orlando, I think.
They just switched it. It was in Philly for the longest time. I'm not too sure where it is this year. It's in the fall.
Okay.
But yeah, back to the story and kind of building it up.
Love this.
So 'cause this is actually pretty crazy. So we finally get to the point where we have a manufacturing facility. We're trial and error trying to figure out how to make it all work. I got to buy all my ingredients. I got to send it all to them. I have to do all of that, and they just kind of put it together. We then finally get the bar to where we think it's good. We then start to sell the bar. This is probably like 2022 around like September time, August, September. So we finally start selling, website, Amazon. We actually have a college reach out to us and they're like, hey, we want your product since it's allergy friendly in our, athletic program for our student athletes. And I was like, this has got to be a fake email because how did they find me? Turns out it was real. We then end up sending them bars at a lot of other schools' bars, and that ends up being a great avenue for us that we're doing right now. We then fast forward to the end of 2022. We get our trademark back. So we had our first name was Bliss Bars.
Bliss Bars.
Yes, with a Z, B-A-R-Z at the end. So the trademark USPTO is very, very, it takes their time. Making sure everything's right. So I think it took about 10 months from when I filed it to when they, got back to me. They said, you're all good. I was like, awesome. That was, around October. A couple months later, December time, get another email. They're like, just kidding. Someone else looked it over. We can't approve your name. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. So I'm like, what's the deal? Like, I got two different answers. One says yes. One says no. They're like, yeah, the first lawyer just messed up. They, let something pass. And yeah, so we can't, approve your name. So I was completely, again, destroyed because I had no idea what the heck was going to happen.
And they don't give a reason as to why?
They said there was a confusion issue with another company.
That's
and,
usually like with trademarks, that's the confusion. If another company has something that's too similar.
Mm-hmm. And the problem was, so you could search your name, and I searched my name to like exactly how it's spelled, and there was nothing. So I thought, okay, that's cool, that's gonna work. But they said, oh, there's a company that's very, very similar. The Z doesn't mean anything on your name, and you can't really count bars. So this other company that they weren't even actually using the name at the time, they were like, it's just too confusing. So
What was the other company?
The other company was Bliss Bar, and so yeah, very similar.
Was it a food product or Bliss Bar? Was it a soap?
They weren't using the name for anything. They had the companies like they had this like snack ball company that you could kind of eat on the go. It was like a healthy, nutritious like granola rolled into a ball, and that was their main product. But they didn't use the name Bliss Bar, but it was still trademarked under their their LLC. So they wouldn't let me use it. So I tried to appeal it, and that just didn't end up working out. So I'm like, all right, like I really think I have something here. I really want to try to keep pushing it. Let's see if I can find a new name. And while that was going on, we actually got introduced to a food scientist who then gave it to a couple people to try. And all those people gave the same feedback of how it was a little dry, the texture was a little off, and there was a little aftertaste. It's like, okay, so maybe while we're, changing our name, we'll reformulate. So luckily enough, the food scientist who introduced it to some people came back to me on a really quick call, super random, middle of the day, was like, hey, change this, 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 and that. Here's what you need to use. Here's what you should take out. And I was like, okay, like super fast. End up doing that. It took, a long time. I mean, it took us 4 months just to find a new name, and I hired a lawyer this time, so that was important. And then it took us, up until probably about like June or July of 2023 to reformulate everything. And then, back to where those ghost people come in, I reached back out to them and nowhere to be found. I just want to be like, hey, thank you so much. Would love to send you like a bar just to see like, you helped me fix this, and no response. So another pretty crazy, ghost kind of person ended up bringing us to where we're at. So then, yeah, we relaunched this new name, new brand, new everything in, November of 2023.
So what does Alio mean?
So Alio is actually Latin for like different or elsewhere. And, it just kind of came to me, like I said, 4 months into the process of trying to find a name. There was so many that didn't work. It kind of came to me. It kind of worked out. Our bar is very different.
Yep.
And the name fits it perfectly. And it was, free to use. So
Do you remember where you were when you thought of the name Alio?
I was just sitting at my desk, like writing a lot of things down. And I was like messing around with just words and trying to make something kind of unique and kind of different, actually, because I was like, like everything that's, regular has already been used, or there's some issue with it. So I was kind of messing around words and then just started Googling things. I was like, wait, this is a real word and this really means something. And we just decided to go with it because it was available to use and it was kind of cool.
It's also a good name. I mean, listen, when looking at different ways to brand, having a word that's a triple vowel stands out. Your logo stands out. Where did that come to be?
So the whole logo, we actually hired a graphic designer. He did work for us before. We went to college together, and I was just like, hey, here's my name. Here's what it is. Go design it. Because I kind of really put a lot of my touch into the first design, and it was good, but it wasn't like what this is now, and it wasn't as professional. And a lot of people were like, it's like a little too 70s. It's kind of hard. It's crisp. Like it's not like very like
You're talking about Bliss Bars.
Yes. The Bliss Bars logo and design and packaging, I put my like twist to it, and I'm not a graphic designer. So I was like, hey, this is your job. Go design it, see what you come up with. And he gave me a few different, variations, and this was the one that everyone liked the most. And then he just kind of, went from there and made it what it is. And I think it looks very, very good.
I think it looks great. How are the margins on the bars?
So right now the margins, when we can get to a volume that's like pretty good, which is what we're kind of doing right now, we're about like 30 to 40% like direct to consumer.
What's the MOQ at your facility?
So they actually can do they can do pretty small runs, But right now we've been doing about, 6,000 bars for our 3 flavors, so 2,000 of each flavor, and that's been kind of giving us a decent margin and a decent like cost per bar to make it reasonable. And then, we're just trying to figure out and tweak a few, small things at the facility to then go to like a larger number because they can handle the volume. It's just trying to, get everything figured out. And every time you go to that next, number, so we started at like, I think maybe, 500 bars to scale it. You then go to 6,000. There's so many small little things that you just don't think about and know. So
like what?
Like just with scale of, using different mixers or how the dough is going to hold up over time because it's a lot. There's more of a, lag time of like when the dough gets made to when it then gets extruded just because there's, you're using 200-300 pounds compared to, like just 70 pounds. So it runs a lot faster. So we actually went from
a lot more room for error.
There's a lot more room for error. And the crazy thing is the first time we went from this small kitchen top to the, even just a 70-pound run. With our cookie dough, it was just like straight, like it was just water. It didn't form. It didn't have anything. And I was like, oh no, like since we've never done the cookie dough before and you do it at a large scale, like there's so many, different things that can go wrong. So just trying to get those locked in, get to hopefully about 10,000 bars a run and we will be, super set.
Amazing. And what would you say is the biggest obstacle that you've overcome that you've been able to learn from?
The biggest obstacle, I think, is just kind of keeping the outside noise outside and not letting that really get to you. Like so many people are like, oh, like you just have it's a protein bar company. It's a super, saturated market. If you're not familiar, like, there's a ton of protein bars out there. If you don't have food allergies, you're not really going to understand, like, what we're really doing, at least right now. So trying to, like, really, like, push through and keep the noise out and not let it get to you, I feel like it's been a really huge thing for me. Sometimes everyone lets it slip a little bit and, it kind of gets to you and it really puts you back. But if you could just kind of, keep going and really just know that what you have is good and be determined to get it done, I think you can do it.
100%. I mean, you're getting people who aren't doing shit, who are commenting about what you should be doing. And they're telling you about the product that you literally work on Monday through Sunday. And they're telling you it's too saturated. Yeah, maybe because, when they go to a supermarket, they go to a bodega, Whole Foods, the protein bar section is aggressive.
Yeah,
there's a huge wall. There's a lot of options. But Alio. It's different.
And the name fits it well. And there really isn't too many other bars that are, like it at all that are allergy friendly that have high protein. So yeah, everyone who's kind of telling you isn't, hasn't done it before and is like, this is impossible. They're just like, just kind of hating on what you're doing. But
what do you tell the haters?
Try not to really listen to them.
Yeah,
I don't really
but
have anything.
Right. Sorry to cut you off, but there's got to be something that, like, at this point, you've had enough people that you probably get like 1, 2, or 3 of the same comments from everybody. So it's at the point, and like I'm trying to compare it. Like I remember when I was my son was being born, and so many people were trying to tell me, "You're gonna feel like this. You're gonna do not the same." But this is what I'm thinking. This is what's coming to my head. People were like, "You're gonna feel like this. You're gonna do this. This is what you're gonna be thinking. You're gonna be doing. Don't do this. Don't do that." And it got to the point where I'm just like, I appreciate your input. I'll totally think about that. And what's your response when people tell you, protein bar, too saturated of a market, you're about 15 years too late for the product?
Yeah, so like I said, we get that a lot. And the main thing is, I could be doing something else I could be going and working a regular job, and I'll kind of push back on them with that a little bit because it's really someone who's just working, a normal job who kind of maybe is, either intimidated or just likes to hate back. I'm like, I'm young, I have nothing to lose, so I'm going to go out and do this, and I know this is really going to impact a lot of people. And that's kind of how I'll push back a little bit. And luckily right now, no one has really been saying too much because we're finally at the point where we have a product where people like, and also another thing is if they kind of push back, we'll be like, hey, try the bar. I think it tastes great. Bring me another product that you think tastes like similar or is better. And yeah, I'll I'll agree, but try this product and you'll be super surprised and you will be shocked at what we're doing.
Amazing. And when looking at, we're bouncing around here because I just have all these things coming to my mind. Talking about funding, how much, what sort of fund are you looking to get 10K here, 100K here, 500K here. Obviously, 100K, 500K would be a great investment. But like, how low of an investment would you be willing to take?
So the lowest investment we're doing is $25,000 for right now, and then we're gonna do like $1 million safe at about a 35% return. So we're going to have the minimum investment, like I said, $25,000, and then they can go from there. So obviously we would like to have larger investments to have less people in the pool, but more people could actually help if you bring in the right kind of people that have those connections or even knowledge or experience. I'm still young and don't have all of that, so bringing in outside experience is super valuable.
Who would be an ideal investor?
Ooh, an ideal investor.
It could be a specific person or a specific type of person.
Mm-hmm. No like specific person that I can think of off the top of my head, but someone who's, has that experience and who's kind of maybe done something in the food space. It doesn't really have to be bars, because I think food space in general is very similar, but just someone who's done, who's built a food brand, or someone who has a bunch of connections to like, a retailer like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or something like that, who can kind of open those doors. Something where like I would have to either pay a ton of money for, or, really just take the time to, cold email and try to get my foot in the door. So someone who has those connections to kind of streamline that whole process just to make it so much easier.
How much outreach have you been doing to athletes and celebrities?
So we've been doing some with some like, micro influencers, nothing with any huge athletes or celebrities yet. I feel like they're going to want so much that I want to figure out exactly what we'd be willing to give up. And, also just getting your foot in the door with them is also quite challenging. So
you're talking in terms of investment or in terms of just getting product to them?
So like maybe both. Like, so like an influencer / investor kind of thing would be really cool if they were a, athlete or celebrity. But I feel like, bringing on a big-time influencer is really important and really helpful.
Got it. I guess someone more in like the Instagram, TikTok world, or someone more built up, someone who has been successful in their profession, and that is why they are said influencer, not because of just their popularity on social media.
Yeah, so ideally it'd be someone who's built up, like
an athlete.
Like you said, yeah, and someone who like, the bar really resonates with them, like they have a food allergy or their kid does.
That's literally where my head's going, like finding that NBA player or this singer whose kid has an allergy, or even better, if they have an allergy, I don't know, let's say like Post Malone had a nut allergy, getting in front of someone like him would just be...
It would be amazing.
Gargantuan.
Yeah. And that's the kind of person, because I feel like with a product like this, it really has to speak to them, and they have to be like, this impacts my life greatly.
Exactly.
And also there's so much like, ads and we get bombarded by so much stuff that I feel like if someone just takes it and kind of posts about it here and there, like they're not going to really take it seriously. But
no, there's no ROI for that either.
Right. And if it means, something to them, they'll take it seriously, and then people will understand that too. We can kind of see through that, that fakeness.
Have you guys thought about anything other than bars? Because like I make protein balls at home. Have you thought of anything other than bars, like a 4-pack of protein balls?
Yeah, so we actually, right now we're focusing on the bars. We're going to also try to come out with a formula that doesn't have pea protein in it, because there's a lot of peanuts and peas are very closely related. So yeah, having a bar that doesn't have pea protein is going to be a big thing that we're going to come out with. And then the protein balls would be awesome, just because you could have like, a grab and go that's a little bit easier, something like in a bag. And that would definitely be later down the road. We're focusing on this for now, but those thoughts have crossed my mind for sure.
Who's been your biggest inspiration while building Alio?
The biggest inspiration has probably truly been like my parents, just because they've supported me so much through this process.
Mom or dad more? You're
Possibly.
supposed to say both.
Definitely both. Both. No, but the support that they've given has been just, amazing. Like they believe in me probably more than I believe in myself most of the time. And they believe in this product and the success of it all, probably also more than I believe in it sometimes, just because I'm in it, but they see from the outside. And, I feel like your parents could have such a big impact on what you do. And for them to let me kind of go out and do something that's, relatively crazy in the eyes of like, society and not normal, for them to just support that, wholeheartedly is just awesome.
That's amazing. And right now we're in January 2024. What would you say the next 6 months look like for Alio?
So next 6 months, I feel like this is going to be a huge year for us. Like I said, we're going to Definitely the biggest. We finally have a product that everyone loves. We are, really starting to expand. So we're working with some colleges right now in their athletic programs. I want to really, in the next 6 months, expand that. Next 6 months, I would love to, lock in an investor, even get maybe a big time influencer or someone who's, a little bit bigger than who we've been working with now to really take this bar to the next level. And then, beyond the 6 months, by the end of this year, would love to start to get into retail, some bigger retail. We're in some smaller, gyms and sports complexes in the area, but would love to really get into some retail by the end of the year.
What's the path into getting into retail?
The path, I think it's mostly just trying to get your foot in the door with the product buyers and stuff, and just introduce it to them, show that there's a need. Also, a lot of people will show their past history sales and stuff. Be like, hey, we've done really, really well online. People are really loving our product. Our repeat customers are huge, and they shop at your store, and we should be in your store. And I think having a great product, having that proof of concept really helps you get on the shelves.
Going to so I work out at Lifetime Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
It's very family based,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like going to gyms, not like an Equinox or an LA Fitness, but something that's more like a country club vibe, like a Lifetime Fitness,
Mm-hmm.
where it's very family based, would be a very good target for you guys. Even doing, let's say, like putting a table for tasting on like a Saturday or Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we really want to start to do that with places like what you were saying, and doing samplings in there to try to help spread the word, because there's a ton of people that have no idea who we are. So being able to get the word out there to a place where a lot of kids might go even on the weekends or stuff with their parents would be really great. We're working with a sports complex now, and it's been very going very well, just because it's very family oriented. Parents are coming in with their kids. And it's just been working really well. So, an LA or a Lifetime or LA Fitness or something like that could be really, really good.
While I do these interviews, just ideas come to me of
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I want to connect you with.
Oh, I love it.
Off the screen. So I have one guy in CPG and then another buddy of mine who owns indoor amusement parks
Mm-hmm.
for families in South Florida, all in Florida. And I think there's a great product for that as well.
Yeah, I feel like the untraditional markets, like an amusement park or even like a sports complex, like in that sports complex had no protein bars. They just had Kit Kat bars and Hershey bars. So something a little untraditional.
Crap.
Yeah, they don't have anything great. So we can really come in there. We can be eaten by anybody, and we're healthy. So an untraditional approach is really what we're trying to go for. And that's why we're, focusing on schools and like the amusement parks, like you said, untraditional. And I think it could work really well.
Amazing. So what are you reading right now?
So currently I'm reading, which I think is actually my favorite book. It's the Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I haven't.
But it's it really kind of changed the way I go about life and everything. So it's my second time reading it.
That was going to be my next question because you said it's your favorite. So I'm like, if it's your favorite.
So far, it's been my favorite,
That would be like heavy recency bias. It was your first time reading it. You're not even done. And you're like, favorite book.
No, someone recommended me to it, and I didn't pick it up for the longest time. Finally grabbed it, sat on my shelf for a while, and then I finally started reading it and was like, wow, this is really, really good. And then had to pick it back up again because that was probably about 6 months ago. So I wanted to brush up on it again, but it's a very, very good book.
So tell me the name of it. So this is, if there's one book that you would recommend to anybody.
Yeah, the one book would definitely be The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy, I'm pretty sure. And it's he was an older maybe psychologist, and he's dead now, but he's got a very interesting book written a while ago, and yeah, it's awesome.
Amazing. Now, before I let you go, give me one word for anybody trying to make it.
So that one word would definitely be probably determination, I think. Just to be determined, and to keep going through everything. You have a good product, you want to do it, you impact people, but like I said, block everything out and just keep going until it works. And I think if you put a ton of effort into something that is good, it will work out. And I think that's the biggest thing, just being determined and just doing it.
Let's rock. Dude, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
That was great. And so many people, 99% of people would have when shit hit the fan in LA or California,
Yeah.
they would have put their tail between their legs and gone back to daily life.
We've had a lot of those
Yeah,
things happen.
it's the ones who persevere through something like
That's
that
another good one word.
that really are successful.
And that's all it is. I feel like you're going to have so many knockbacks, but just keep pushing through that and just keep at it, staying level too, because there's a lot of highs and lows, and not getting too high is important and not getting too low is also very important. But, just pushing through is the key.
So when you're looking for funding, your story is a big part of why someone should invest. Because while investing in the product is one thing, it's more important to invest in the person.
Right. Super
And
important.
your story and how you persevered is something that a lot of investors will pair that with the product.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I think we actually have a great story, even though it kind of stunk going through it, but it adds to all of it and helps a lot. Yeah,
That's life.
it's a great story for sure.
Yeah, trust me. On the show, I hear many like rock bottom moments, and it's like, what the fuck did you do when you hit the rock bottom moments?
Yeah.
And it's like a lot. And I speak to people who have a moment like that, and when I call it a rock bottom moment, they laugh. They're like, no, that's a problem, and we fix it.
Yeah.
It's not like if you expect to not have problems like that, then you are going to fail.
That is super true. There's going to be, probably more problems than wins, especially early on, but just, figuring out how to solve those problems and moving forward on it is the key.
Cool.
Awesome.
My man.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.